Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky, January 12th. We're in the middle of January, working right through winter. And interesting, we think about that at the start, because one of the things we can look at, we got a good moon week. The moon starts, I forget, a third full and wanes away. On the morning of the 14th, it's already down to only 15% full, and it's tracking right toward Antares. And it's a great marker of the summer sky is Antares. So in the morning sky, so this is early morning, 15% full moon, watch it close in on Antares. It'll get pretty close for me before it gets daylight. I think you'll see an occultation in Australia where the moon will pass right over Antares, if I remember correctly. Now, last week, we tracked Jupiter is in retrograde motion heading toward Wasat, a relatively bright star in Gemini. Castor and Pollux are the two bright twin stars right there. Jupiter's the brightest object in that region of the sky. This whole thing transits at around midnight this week. It's close to midnight early in the week, 11:30 toward the end of the week. That means it's directly on the north-south line overhead in the middle of the night, so it's up all night. So it's going to be east of there to start, and so Jupiter will be the biggest, brightest object coming up in the east there. And you'll see it below the two dots of Castor and Pollux. And it's moving toward this bright star, relatively bright star, 3.5 magnitude star, Wasat. It starts the week 56 arc minutes. An arc minute is a 60th of a degree, so about 1 degree, your finger at arm's length. That's not very far. It starts away from Wasat, and it's cut that distance in half. It scoots right over the top of Wasat, and by the end of the week, it's half as far away. So you can really detect the motion of Jupiter, retrograde motion, westerly against the background stars as it crosses over past Wasat this week. And its closest approach. It's going to go out here, it's going to turn around, it's going to come back. So we'll keep an eye on this as the year unfolds. As good as that is, and we're going to talk about that more. Before we get there, I wrote myself that note because I knew I'd forget to say that. It's interesting to think about this a little bit because Jupiter's making this close approach to Wasat. That's right about where Pluto was when it was discovered back in 1930. So Pluto, you think about the flat plane of the solar system, it's not got very much thickness to it, so the planets can't get very far from a perceived arc in the sky. And so you get a sense of that here when you see Jupiter being right where Pluto was, very near where Pluto was when it was discovered. So let's move on to Saturn for a moment. Last week, you go back and watch that. Last week we had Saturn here starting the week as an equilateral triangle with 20 Piscium and 24 Piscium, and it moved toward 24 Piscium, 5.9 magnitude star. So you probably want binoculars to help you with this. See that star. It moved toward it last week. This week it gets right on top of it. It starts a half a degree. Remember, your finger at arm's length is about a degree. 30 arc minutes. It ends less than 2 or about 2 arc minutes. So Saturn gets right on top of 24 Piscium. So something to watch this week. Watch Saturn. It's in prograde motion. It's moving easterly. Watch it close on 24 Piscium. Go out every night and see it if you get the chance to do that. You can start with your binoculars, and you might, if you have a small telescope, get the small telescope because that gets really close at the end. You might have a hard time seeing that in your binoculars. You want your little telescope. And if you've got your small telescope to track it for a few nights, you can see the bright moon Titan that Saturn is pulling along with it for this near occultation, for this closing in on 24 Piscium. So enjoy that this week. It's something to do. Let's go back and look at Jupiter again. Castor and Pollux, the two bright stars. Wasat is down here. So Gemini, I often think about as being dominated by the two stars, Castor and Pollux. And then you've got strands of stars that stretch down either side that are legs of the twins. Wasat is the first one you come down to on this side, 3.5 magnitude star that Jupiter's closing on, about 9 degrees across. So about a fist width at arm's length is 10 degrees or so. That's about the width of Gemini as it stretches from top to bottom here. 9 degrees separates Wasat from Mebsuta. And Mebsuta is a 3.1 magnitude star up this direction. So below Mebsuta, the next step down in the leg going this way is Mu. Mu's a brighter star, a 2.5 magnitude star, and it's down about 5.5 degrees. So you drop about 9 degrees across here, about 2/3 that distance down, you come to Mu, the next bright star in that strand of stars. So that's something for you to track, to look at. Now, right next to Mu is M35. M35 is a fabulous open star cluster. Use your binoculars here. Find Mu, and 3 2/3 degrees away off this direction sits M35. You shouldn't have any trouble seeing it with your binoculars. So just scan across. Go from Mebsuta to Mu, and then make a sort of right turn out a little bit, and you'll pop right onto M35. So get M35, then get your telescope out and look at M35 and use a wide field view. And if you've got a good, relatively good sized telescope, maybe 8 inches does it, 6 inches might do it, 10-inch scope, you shouldn't have any problem seeing that just half a degree away from M35, a big, bright, glittering open star cluster. These open star clusters that live in the plane of our galaxy. M35 is a beautiful example of that, where you see the individual stars in your telescope beautifully, but right next to it is a dense open star cluster made of a lot fainter stars, and it's a lot smaller. 25 arc minutes. Remember, 60 arc minutes in a degree. Half a degree basically is the diameter of M35. You've got these sparkling jewels of stars scattered across the field of view about half a degree. It's about 1/10 of a degree is the diameter of NGC 2158, another open star cluster, very densely packed stars, probably 1,000 stars in 2158, and you see this fuzzy patch of stars. A great contrast of these two things. Enjoy that as much as you can. Change the magnification of your scope. Change your eyepiece and see what you can see with these two, and enjoy the contrast of view of these two things right there together. That half degree away means in a wide field, a small low power magnification eyepiece, you should be able to have no trouble getting both of them in there. And even as you crank it up a little bit, you might be able to get both of them there, or at least part of M35 with these big, bright, glittering stars, and then the faint little fuzzy patch that's a more distant open star cluster made of fainter stars too. Back up here, we've got Castor and Pollux, Wasat. Mebsuta is right here. There was M35. If you go up 13 degrees up this direction, you come to Theta Auriga, 2.1 magnitude star, I think. You drop 10 degrees down the other direction, you come to El Nath. We talk about El Nath. It's great because planets pass by it all the time, and the moon at the end of Taurus there, about 10 degrees. So you've got M35 here or Mebsuta. Either way you look at that, and you go up 13 degrees, and you see these other two relatively bright stars, the brightest stars you come to. But right in between there, you've got M37, M36, and M38. More open star clusters. Use your binoculars to pull them out. Should be no trouble. Might be able to see some of these with your naked eye if you got good dark sky. Enjoy them with your telescope if you want. We'll come back to those later. We always want to think about these open star clusters because it's a great string of open star clusters that pierces Auriga here as you move from Gemini, and beautiful examples of open star clusters. It's going to get in this direction. We're looking at about the direction of the anti-center of the galaxy. Center of the galaxy over on the Scorpius-Sagittarius border. You turn your back to the center of the galaxy. So here's the galaxy, right? And we're out here orbiting around, and the center of the galaxy is that way. The anti-center would be out here. That's where we're looking right now from where we are when we see these. So this is a great view for us. So let's go back to Mebsuta. A couple last objects to pick out, some challenge objects for us this week. So right next, within half a degree of Mebsuta, off to the east, is NGC 2365, a spiral galaxy. That's your challenge object of the week. If you've got a 16 or 20-inch scope, maybe you can pull that out and see it in that same field with view with Mebsuta. Having the bright star there doesn't help to be able to see this. That's for sure. So you might want to scan till you just get Mebsuta out of your field of view to try to see that. Take a picture. If you got the ability to take a picture, that's your photographic object of the week. You move on over 4.5 degrees, and you've got another open star cluster, like the open star clusters we've been looking at. This is a 10 arc minute diameter, about twice as big as NGC 2158. Brighter stars. You might actually be able to see this one with binoculars. NGC 2420. Should provide a good view with a low power eyepiece in your telescope. So enjoy that view. Dropping down below there, making a triangle with Mebsuta and NGC 2420 is NGC 2392, the Clown Face Nebula. It's a planetary nebula. Remember, we see planetary nebulae a lot. Low mass stars. They've blown off their envelopes, their outer layers. You've got a white dwarf central star in the middle like that, and this is a very good example of one of these. So this is a great thing. Another great thing to take a photograph of if you're taking photographs of the sky right here. That's my recommendation actually for the week. That's the best thing because this one's a relatively easy thing to see. It's small, 40 arc seconds. So that's 2/3 of an arc minute. Remember, the arc minute was a 60th of a degree. And so this is a nice small object, but it's relatively bright. So your trick is not just finding it, but it's not mistaking it for a star as you sweep by it to see if you can find that. So that's what we got this week. Lots of good stuff. Planets doing great things. Interesting objects in the sky. We can take advantage of the dark skies this week without the moon to be able to look at some open star clusters and one great planetary nebula and one really hard to find galaxy. So as always, thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you have a great week ahead and get out and do some great observing.